Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Northside Baseball video. It's finally happened. I'm going in hard on this one. It has finally happened. Where in 2024 we talked about so many pitchers in our bullpen getting injured, and finally our ace in the hole, Shota Imanaga, has an injury, and man oh man, does it suck. But there might be a small silver lining of a player coming up from the minors to take his place. So Brandon, let's talk about it.
Yeah, you and I, Ethan, have spoken a lot about the Cubs' depth, this year and the offseason and leading into the season. And we talked a lot about how the Cubs very consciously made the decision to add a lot of depth starters without actually adding like another ace or another, number one guy. And so when Justin Steele went down for the season a couple weeks ago, and now Imanaga's out, probably not for long. It's just a hamstring strain. It sounds like it won't be too serious of an injury. But we talked about, when this situation happens, if it were to happen, which it now has, what do the Cubs do? Colin Ray and Matthew Boyd have been great fill-ins, but there's no number one starter on the team right now. And so naturally, the only guy in the organization that probably has the talent to ascend to that level is Cade Horton. And so it's set from everything that we're hearing around the Cubs is that Cade Horton is going to come up this weekend to make his MLB debut. This will be the most hyped Cubs prospect debut in a long time. Probably if since PCA for sure, if not far, way beyond like to the older core from like a decade ago. So it's really exciting that Cade Horton is coming. I'm really, I hope he sticks around. He's got the goods. He's been great this season in AAA after sort of a lost developmental year last year. But obviously, I think the big story for me right now is that the Cubs are sort of facing this worst case scenario early on where Steele's out for the year, Imanaga is gone possibly for all of May. And now, they're being forced to turn the top of the rotation over to this, to a prospect who, as good as Cade Horton is, he's not a true ace, at least not yet. So it'll be interesting to see how, if the Cubs offense can carry them through a situation where the rotation is just not going to be at full strength.
I think we're also forgetting about not that it's I mean as big as Steele and Imanaga, but we're also we talked a few weeks ago about Javier Assad. He's another pitcher that's out right now. It's really unfortunate. Again, the brighter side to this is again talking about Cade Horton. In April and now early May, he's had a great come up so far where he's producing strikeout like back to back strikeout after strikeout after strikeout, which is something we desperately need right now in the 2025 season. So if he does get the call up this weekend and we see him play as the starting pitcher, I think it would be great. Again, it's unfortunate that again, it's kind of a repeat of 2024 and now we're seeing Shota Imanaga take the fall. But again, like you said and you mentioned like Pete Crow Armstrong as the example. PCA would not have gotten, he would not have gotten the call up to the majors if so many players in our outfield got injured. And again, now he's one of our best players on the team. And it might be the same for Cade Horton. Again, knock on wood that is what happens. And I'm wishing a speedy recovery for all of our bullpen. I think everybody is here. Do you have any kind of final thoughts about what's going to happen if Cade Horton does come up to the majors this coming weekend?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's going to be a lot to look for. Obviously, Cubs fans know him really well. He's a guy that has one of the best sliders I've seen a prospect have in years. I mean, it's a really, really, really good put away pitch. Uh, his success will be based on his fastball. He's got sort of like an in between cutter fastball that also has some ride to it. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to fool hitters or at least blow that by hitter so that his slider and his curveball and his changeup that he's been tinkering with are able to work against major league competition. I guess the thing I'll say is Cade Horton is a really good pitching prospect, but he's not someone like Paul Skeens. When Paul Skeens came up last year, it was sort of a foregone conclusion that he was going to be great, and obviously he was. I mean, he was as good as any rookie that we've seen in baseball in a long time. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on Horton just yet because again, it's not just that, hey, this guy is clearly ready for the majors. Let's get him up here, which he is. It's just, but this is also a situation where there's a need. He's being sort of forced up to the major leagues because the Cubs rotation keeps getting hurt, which again, we've talked about a lot at this point. So it's just sort of a situation where if he doesn't stick around, it's not the end of the world. If he has a couple rough starts, maybe that's for the best. Maybe he's able to take that back to AAA, to the minor leagues, and work on stuff and get ready for his actual sort of real debut where it's not just forced out of necessity. So I'm just excited to see him pitch. This is a prospect that we've all been following a lot since they drafted him in 2022. And hopefully he has a good debut, and that, if he does, he'll probably stick around for a long while in Chicago. But as always, please let us know your thoughts in the comments. What are you looking for in Cade Horton's first start? Are you just excited that the Cubs finally have such a good pitching prospect coming up? Let us know your thoughts, and we'll always respond as usual.